No, she's gonna call.
Well, she'll text if she wants us to call her, I guess. So, so otherwise, otherwise, I guess
Well,
we'll
we
just.
have one weekend
As soon as anything-
wedding trip to go to in Tennessee.
And Brian.
Other than that, I hope I have nothing
Yeah.
else going on. I'm about tapped out.
Yeah,
After that trip in September, I'll
we got all these fires going on.
be, yeah, you can go to the Northwest if you want.
Yeah.
Katie?
I just ended up in the Northwest.
How are you doing?
And we got, we're trying to get some groups together to go to Westmore.
Oh, did I fire up there?
Now that's funny.
It wasn't on the middle. Like yellow, and then it went to red when you came in.
Oh, I should have grabbed the second one. I'm only doing his twice.
Yeah.
What's your wife's name again?
Betsy.
Betsy.
But us is mostly construction.
Morning.
Morning, Gail.
We missed you. Oh, no, sorry. Just one of those. Yeah, everyone's fine now.
Everybody okay?
Just one of the, when things just don't line up right with two kids and,
Happens to all of us.
yeah.
Not the two kids.
Especially when it's like supposed to all, like when it's right. Yeah, of course, it's just like a fluke, like it was just a day. No, my son is just, he's just.
How many of those do you have?
I would like you guys to have it so I can make sure everything works.
Right.
Oh, that was.
So she's
You're becoming an IT person, huh?
Oh my gosh.
Yes, that's what they say.
This is like a vacation.
How did you luck
Yeah,
out
exactly,
with
to
that?
sit.
She's
No,
young.
you stick
She's
around
young.
long
That's
enough.
automatic.
Sit around long enough to rise to the top.
Yep, there you go. I guess so.
Oh,
Ooh. Nice.
Yeah, and that was an original frame, that was a frame that she brought in, but we just framed it, put a mat on it.
Wonderful. Nice job. His predecessor was a Xerox copy, so.
Yeah.
anybody we know in there?
That's neat.
Some bald-headed guy in there or not?
There's a great picture of the two buildings too.
Yeah.
Man.
Tell more of the story later, I guess. Oh,
That's right.
Alan, we had a donation some years ago of a picture, it had 3 panels in it. So I took the panels out and I took the dividers out. Alan made a photographic copy of the photographs instead of a printed copy. And then we gave it over to Katie, and this is the result coming from Katie's great school.
What's that, a school?
It's great.
Yeah, that's the 2 school buildings.
Two school buildings.
Oh, it seems like that was around 1920 or
Ration
something.
the kids there.
Karen, There's a lot.
Pass this a minute.
The name on the kids.
An agenda?
Yeah. All 8
That has
grades.
some writing on it.
Well, this is newer than more recent than I thought it was.
We got one.
I think that's what they're after. Sorry.
Well, welcome everybody. I think at this point, Jill said she had a call come in, so she's going to do the phone deal. But I don't think she's going to be able to. What do we call the phone deal?
The bat phone.
Bat phone, okay. See, you know, I all know all this technical jargon.
Forgetting to ask Denzel if he wants to be
Yeah,
on.
I know. Get into annoying somebody.
Yeah, we talked to him too.
Ever get an agenda?
Yes.
The agenda's going around.
Can I just put it right here?
Sure, yeah.
Oh, could you pass these down to Katie also? Katie, here's a couple of the coloring books.
Okay.
And we talked about those in reference to the field trips, but I thought you have 2 youngsters.
Perfect.
Also, there's,
Yeah.
unless you want one for your husband too.
Yeah, but actually he'll do one of them, yeah.
Does he stay inside the lines?
No, purpose.
Well, that's good to hear.
17th. The meeting was called to order by Chairperson Larry Dorsey. In attendance were Commission members Walt Ackerman, Mary Cartwright, Larry Dorsey, Bob Morgan, Katie Olson, Errol Waligorski, and Karen Waligorski. Staff Brian Meyer, Town Board Member Rita Dozal, and others David Cartwright, Maureen Hogue, Gail Casana, and Gerald Zancanelli. During the roll call, our newest commission member, Katie Olson, was introduced. Welcome to the group, Katie. The minutes of the June 19, 2015 meeting were read. Mary Cartwright moved they be approved. Bob Morgan seconded the motion, and the motion carried. The treasurer's reports were given as follows. Bob Morgan reported that the Historical Commission account balance is $1,490.20, and that the fire truck account has a balance of $983. Brian reported that the balance in the Town of Superior Historic Preservation account is $2,386.23. The invoice for the fire truck is $605.93. Old business debriefings were discussed as follows. The 4th of July activities went well. The historic fire truck was driven in the parade by town staff. Gladys Forshey rode in the passenger seat, and Mary, Karen, and David rode in the back. The truck was on display next to the park by the commission tent. Larry proposed that the tent be moved back into the park next year, as many people did not notice the displays. The truck was moved over by the museum for the opening 10 to 2. There were several visitors, and Alan provided an excellent lunch. Everyone enjoyed seeing the truck running today, and commission members really had fun riding in it in the parade. There was no activity by the Cataloging Filing Committee, but they plan to meet on July 24th. There was no activity on the Carnegie Library Oral History Video Project. Maureen reported on the Superior History in Wikipedia project. She went to Norland Library on the CU campus and found 2 maps there. One from when Superior was a township and one after it was platted. Katie offered to scan the maps for us. Wally will work on obtaining an estimate from Bob Kissel at Mountain Truck and Equipment in Longmont for bodywork, paint, and wiring for the historic fire truck. This estimate is needed for submission to the town for the 2016 budget. Brian reported on the status of the museum maintenance. The staff has received 3 estimates for repainting the building. After hearing a review of the work from the 3 contractors, Walt Ackerman proposed going forward with green sage painting after Brian looks into the warranty included. Bob Morgan seconded the motion, and the motion carried. The work is to include the trim, fascia, deck, wood filler, windows, and screens. If there is any money left over, perhaps some work could be done on Grasso Park building. Brian reported that the house at 122 Coal Creek Drive, once owned by Violet Bednar, and subsequently Louise Bennett, has been sold. Karen reported that one thank you note needs to be sent to Jim Listoka for donating the picture of the Monarch mine disaster. The Waligorskis will host a summer potluck for the commission, volunteers, staff member, and liaison member. Those present decided on August 16th at 4 p.m. Rita Dozal stated that there will be some civic space available in the new town center on Main Street. It is not known at this time what it will be or will look like. Only Main Street has been formally platted thus far. Commission members and Rita then brought up issues surrounding the cemetery. 1, the proximity of construction now going on near the slope on the west side, and 2, the need for a planned road and parking spaces by the entrance to the cemetery. The commission feels these issues need to be documented and discussed with town personnel, e.g. Matt Megley and or Clint Folsom. Following that, we may need to get Boulder County involved, as the cemetery is a Boulder County landmark. New business. Staffing for the museum opening on August 1st was discussed. Mary volunteered to supply lunch. It is possible that town staff will drive the fire truck over during the open hours. Members were reminded of the August 20th Boulder Heritage Roundtable meeting at 11:30 at the Spruce Street Mansion. The Asti Park Volunteer Project has been rescheduled for September 19th, which is the National Day of Service. Brian announced that the staff is working with Wright Corp., a Colorado pest control service company, to schedule a day for the Grasso Park Barn environmental cleanup. They would basically remove all toxic debris from the area. The next ANFRAM meeting will be August 17th at the Aurora History Museum. Their ice cream social will also be that day. Wally moved that the meeting be adjourned at 12:15. Bob Morgan seconded the motion. Our next meeting is August 21st.
Okay, any additions or corrections to the minutes?
By the way, Larry and Brian, the copy that I sent to you email had Matt Magley's last name spelled wrong, but it has since been
Oh, okay.
corrected to M-A-G.
I had that, okay.
Yeah, I caught that the second time around, but you already had your copy, and I thought, well, I'm not gonna send it
No
again.
problem. Okay, the only thing I'd say is that number one, old business, I don't know if the tent needs to be moved back into the park, maybe just I think it's good to have the tent next to the fire truck, and maybe one half of the traffic pattern, so that's,
Oh, okay.
that's something we can debate next
Larry
time.
proposed that the tent be moved, where do you wanna say?
Oh, I don't think you need to change that, I just want
Oh,
to
okay.
clarify what was on my mind when I said that.
Okay.
Somewhere right by that entrance would be great if we could, yeah.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. It's good to have it inside the park, but also it's really good to have it next to
Mm.
the bar.
Okay.
Okay, so Karen caught her own spelling error, so is anything else? Okay, motion to accept the minutes as read.
Second.
Is there a motion?
Oh,
I can't make the motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Bob, wait a minute. So it looks like Bob and Wall.
Okay.
Did the second come first?
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, so we'll go through here and, looks like we're down to Bob Morgan on this part of the treasury.
Your historic commission account and the fire truck account is zero.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
That's easy to keep
bill has
track
been
of.
paid, according to Brian, for the truck work. Total amount was $2,473.20 for those two accounts.
Oh, can you say that again?
$2,473.20. There was no donations or DVD sales.
it's now gone.
Yes.
But went to a good cause.
Yes,
we're paupers.
You're out of a job.
Pardon?
You're out of a job.
Yeah, that's what I told her.
Until someone
Brian,
donates to
yeah,
the fire truck
Brian.
account.
I'm in retirement now.
We didn't have to fire, we just took all the money away.
Yeah, yeah.
The truck's up and running and sounds good, and the truck's down the street. Brian, yours?
The current balance in the historic preservation account is $2,386.23.
Man, we got a lot of money.
That we paid for the cleaning.
That came out of that
Town
CIP.
fund?
Well, it was like $490. That came out of that CIP line.
Yeah, that was magic.
Yeah.
That's all he charged for that mess? Holy man.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Need to get 'em
5
over
hours,
somewhere.
yeah.
Less
Need to
than
get them
500.
over to my house.
Mhm.
Yeah, right. Suck all your trash out.
All right, very good. We'll start through the old business then, everybody. And, first museum opening, and well, like Karen said, we got truck made it over to there, thanks to Matt Rarick and Allison. Allison drove her back, by golly. And I have to give out a thank you to all the people there that day for, I got the absolute minimum of razzing after I set off the alarm and couldn't remember how to deactivate it, so I appreciate that. I would have put that in the minutes.
Oh, I think some of us didn't know that.
That
Oh,
goes-
really?
Now we do those.
Larry, you let the cat out.
That goes in the minutes as Larry tested his arm.
Good idea.
Conducted the safety review.
Right.
At least the sheriff's department didn't show up.
No, luckily Matt just left, so he came back and I could, this, for your information, by the way, on the little door that folds down, it says, enter, if it goes off, you're supposed to enter the code and hit off again. And I thought it meant hit the button that says CODE, so I kept hitting that button. So what that means is you put in the code again. So,
Some of us have found that out.
yeah, well,
By trial and error.
it's been so long since I did that.
Well, when that alarm starts going off, you basically, it sort of, I don't know, disorients you or
Well, that's
you're
what
just in a panic mode. You don't think. I've done that with the one at home.
Oh, yeah, there was some, I must have hit the, obviously, I must have hit the wrong buttons, 'cause, at any rate, we didn't have too.
Oh, we had, the one visitor, what's her name, from, Fort Collins, her, grandfather was
Kathleen or
the,
Catherine.
yeah, he was the, depot master, station master, depot up here, and she brought in some pictures. Oh, wow. And we also sold her a book for $10, which was deposited in the architectural book account.
That was not a zero.
No, actually, I guess they're still,
Yeah.
got an account there.
Now, Bob brought up this visitor is Catherine Renfro, and her grandfather is right, you have it right here, so
We got some really good
it's
photos.
really good photos. And she just popped them, she had them on a flash drive, so we put it right on our hard drive, so. And then from here, she went over to Broomfield Depot, used them over there, and then went home. So she came back to Broomfield last week, just, and I took some notes while she told her history, and so we got those on record, and I shared those with Broomfield, so that was it. She said, for your information, she said that her father, I guess, father lived there with the grandfather.
With his grandfather.
With his grandfather, yeah, that's right.
Wow.
And there was an upstairs bedroom, 4 bedrooms, and that's the way the Broomfield Depot is. They've got living quarters in the Broomfield Depot for the station master, so it must have been a real similar structure to that. And unfortunately, I don't have any specific history about what happened. It was a old timers thing got torn down, right? Do you know?
It was down before I,
Yeah, I know it wasn't.
Yeah.
Before you, even before you.
yeah, yeah.
That was a highlight of the opening that day, that's for sure.
Thank you for the,
Yeah, thanks, Mary, for the grub.
Mary did a picture.
And then, last Sunday, just recently, we had our summer potluck, and everyone's continuing to thank the Wallagorskis for hosting. It was a really, really nice, brouhaha.
We wanted to thank everybody for bringing all the good stuff,
Yeah.
and everybody adapted well to the rain and then no rain and then.
yeah.
Outside, inside, Yeah, I did, right?
Yeah.
This group adapts well.
Do you anticipate wanting to go back to winter again, this coming December, or?
Well,
Or have we-
it's kind of up to the group. I mean, it's always been at Christmas, so we can talk about it in November.
Okay, let's do that.
But it's up to what the group wants to do. If you're tired of doing the same old, we can do something
Same old
else.
delicious food,
Yeah.
same old good company.
We have to. Yeah.
If we want to do it in December, I don't have a problem.
let's keep that in mind then. Yeah, I think
We'll
Get
send
back to the
Wally out
regular-
at 4 in the morning when it's cold.
Eat wrong answer.
But that was always a nice tradition, although the summer thing works out nice too, so.
We've done it in the summer one other time, and it was 100 and something that day.
Mhm.
We didn't even attempt to eat out that time. I think August doesn't work real well. It's either too hot or it's raining.
Yeah, I think that's true too.
Yeah.
Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah.
I went to the Amtram on Monday, and it was a usual deal going through all the, people give their accounts of what's going on in their area. I was at the Aurora Museum, which is in the Aurora Municipal Center, about Exposition and Chambers Road, I guess. East Exposition, obviously. So it was museums, a nice museum. I thought it was going to be larger maybe than it was, but it's a nice museum. They have an unusual thing, and I've got the Denver Tramway trailer, which is a non-motorized streetcar, inside the museum. And they found this, those were all sold in surplus around 1950, and so somebody in Aurora bought one and built a house around it. And so then he died, and his son was disposing of the property, so I guess the house must not have been too good a shape. They tore down the house to get the trolley car out of there.
Oh, wow.
Then somebody, one of their patrons, paid to restore it. And, hi, Jerry. See the two over there. So that was an interesting thing. And furthermore, they've got a, right across the street, I haven't been in that part of Aurora, but I think once in my life, recent history anyway, right across the street from the municipal center on the east side of the a farm. I think it's about 160 acres. It was a homestead. We've got some historic farm buildings out there, including a round barn, which they say is near as they can determine the only round barn still standing in Colorado. So that was really intriguing discovery. So then it was very close.
Did they have round barns in Wisconsin? Did we see a round
Uh,
barn?
there is one, but it's not a real old one. That's,
Oh.
I think it's on the, that brewery. That's down there, the Glairs.
You know, yeah, round barns are apparently more common in the east and Midwest, but it was on one level about it, so.
Is the truck back on those wheels?
Yeah.
They rebuilt the old chassis.
I think so. I'm grabbers on the other, I guess. I think as high as it was sitting, about had to be.
Somebody must have coughed up for that, I guess.
Maybe so.
I think most of the old chassis and wheels went for scrap.
Right.
During the war.
Sold models.
They said those round barns used to drive some of the farmers crazy.
Why is that, Wally?
They couldn't find a corner to go to bed.
Oh, jeez.
You should have known, Larry.
I had a feeling.
That's just a comment.
Thank you for sharing that, Wally. And I went to the round table yesterday, and I don't think there's too much specific that came out of that meeting. Let's see, check the notes here. Oh, got an idea. Oh, Carol Bean talked about how the county is now going through fire mitigation. They've been stressing with the mountain residents that the mountain residents have to get the dangerous trees away from their houses, and so now the county is getting dangerous trees away from their historic structures. So that was kind of interesting. Oh, the Halloween thing that Historic Boulder always puts on, it's been, the cemetery. This year is going to be called Ghost Walk, Ghost Talk. It's going to be in Whittier neighborhood, October 24th and 25th. So it won't be at the cemetery, but it'll be, they're going to do the Ghost Walk, Ghost Talk, so it'll be historic houses and then talk about the spirits, and they have the, what do they call those clairvoyant people, or that can read the houses, and pick up on ghosts and things like that, so.
Yeah, that's kind of fun.
Fun.
Larry,
They could
Yes.
do Catherine's house.
the reason,
Catherine is a ghost.
Excuse me,
the reason the county's doing that is because the rural fire departments have gotten a grant
Mm-hmm.
to mitigate these houses when they get a certificate. And if you don't have it mitigated and don't have a certificate, they will not protect your home.
Whoa. Oh, interesting.
That's,
Whoa.
that's the deal. That's why the county's doing it, because they want to protect the building.
County building, yeah.
Because they need that certificate to protect.
Oh.
Otherwise, wildfire teams will not protect those residents that have not received a certificate of medical.
Yeah, she did mention the grant, but that wasn't in the grant she was
I
talking about.
figured she had, but that's what it's all about.
Interesting.
We just got notice of it a couple of weeks ago that we're gonna do it.
Thanks, Walt. You really want to cover the cataloging filing update?
Usual stuff, at least we get a little bit done,
Yeah.
little by little. Larry's still shooting pictures.
Yeah, every time we spend 2 hours there, we get, upwards of 5 or 6 things on there.
Maybe we shouldn't say that. It does take a while. We have to stop and think of what really to put in for a description. And sometimes the things are so faint, you really have to use a micro. What?
Magnifying glass.
Magnifying glass.
Yeah, we did that on Karen said in the minutes, that was the 24th of July or something like that, so. We haven't scheduled the time for August, so, but August will be over before we know it. Carnegie? No one's here for that.
Oh, I'm
I'm
here,
sorry,
I'm here,
Rick.
but I'm not.
I apologize.
I'm so thin these days, don't I wish?
Yes.
Yeah.
Anything new?
No, I think Jill's the only one who's actively doing with that, and of course, this is summer and everything in her life, so.
Mm-hmm.
And Maureen said on Sunday she wouldn't be here, so
So nothing new on Marine's project?
she's emailed you, so.
Yeah. So anything new, Wally, on the fire truck?
Right after our meeting last month, or that afternoon anyway, I got a hold of Bob Gissel at Mountain Truck and explained to him that we wanted if he could, we were wanting this bid on the paint and also on the rewiring. He said he would contact that guy and get on it right away, and I hadn't heard anything, so I called him yesterday. I guess it was yesterday. And he said no, he hadn't had a chance to get to it. I don't know why. And I said, well, the town is trying to finalize their budget, I believe, next month. And I said, if we're gonna do this, we really need it. He said, all right, he'd get on it. So, we'll just have to wait and see. I also have contacted what was his name, Don Carpenter, who is on the fire department over here off, what is that, Colton Road.
Yeah.
He's the one that
Indian.
originally, from what I've gathered from him, tried to buy the fire truck when it sat out here behind the barn. He has a bunch of information on it, and he said that he would share it with me. And he said he was gonna get it to me, and he hasn't done that as of yet, so I'm gonna have to try and get a hold of him again and see if I can get that. He's apparently he's got a lot of stuff.
We have his card and phone number.
Yeah, so I need to redo that. He also was telling me, and the two mechanics over Mountain Trucking said this earlier when the truck was over there. The engine in that thing, I don't know if it's the original engine, but that one does not have an oil pump in it. That has the old splash system in it, in which when you were driving it, there was, I don't know if there was little cups on the crankshaft or whatever, as it come around, it would splash oil up in the engine. And he said, one of the things we need to bear in mind is when you're driving in parades, you're not driving it very fast. That engine does not get oiled, so therefore, it's sooner or later, you're gonna start having problems. Now, this isn't something that we need to happen. You know, nothing needs to happen now, but I think maybe the town should have this in the back of their mind. And if, you know, down the road, there's a possibility that something could happen to this engine, and we maybe need to look at replacing it. But I would, until that time comes, I don't know as if I would get into a panic mode over that.
Wally, what if once a month or before and after, like it's raining and they took it out and ran it faster? Would that do it?
Yeah, that would help.
It would help, but it's the idea in a parade, you're probably doing 5 miles an hour less, so you're gonna get wear. And I was going to bring that up as well. I think that's something that should happen with this fire truck is at least once a month, it's taken out and driven around. It's really hard on, and we're lucky that this, you know, we hadn't had to replace the carburetor or anything in this fire truck. I think we should knock on wood on that. But it's really hard on them, and it's really hard on the tires. You think, well, sitting there, it's not gonna affect the tires. But when you're driving it, they tend to flex, and that brings the oils back up in them. And I can only speak from a motor home, so this has nothing to do with the fire truck. Every 7 years, you have to replace the tires, whether they look like brand new or not, because motor homes are extremely hard on them because all they do is sit. And they will start cracking, and you can have blowouts driving down the road, which again does not pertain to the fire truck, because you have a blowout with a fire truck driving the parade, you know, and they could last for 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, but it's just something to bear in mind.
Yeah, I think you ought to schedule sometime each month to drive it down the road at 30 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour, so that
Yep.
occurs and the tires get worn.
Yep.
Well, at least we'll, our idea is to have it at the end every time it's open too, so that would be some exercise for it.
Yeah. But
So,
you need-
oh, go ahead, sorry.
But you need to go about probably 15, 20 miles would be the best.
Yep.
That's the deal. You can just drive it up the road out here and up 93 or something.
Not on 93 though, right? Not on 93 though, right? Angry drivers.
There was a note that you were getting budget numbers. It said August 26th on my old notes that you guys need budget numbers.
Yeah, I was just gonna
So-
add, yeah, so staff is reviewing with the board actually this afternoon,
First
2000,
reading time.
yeah.
Okay.
So
For
do
the
we just need to put
20
in a number?
Just
Well,
plug the number in, so.
Yeah, it's gonna be, staff has asked for $25,000, for body work for next year, so, that'll be the number that's reviewed, later this afternoon.
That's the so-called place bookmark, what do call it?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the request, the 25,000 in the budget. so.
Now, from everything that I've talked to the person over at Mountain Truck and a couple of other people, this Don Carpenter, you might be lucky to cover the paint job for $25,000.
And,
Especially
yeah.
with the gold, gold lettering on it.
Yeah, so I was talking with Patrick about it. I mean, if it's, you know, if the 25, let's say it gets approved and it doesn't cover everything, you know, it's just, yep, subsequent
Next
years.
year.
Yeah, the next year, yeah, so.
Please,
yeah.
the man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, also, didn't Rusty Lanique, when he was here, saying that some of the labor could be done getting the old paint off by us, volunteer help?
We
To
kinda
say-
decided-
How do you do it, Lead?
Not
Yeah,
to.
I think we, you know, that's a thought, but I think we should probably let whoever paints it do it so they can address it the way. And there really isn't a whole lot of paint left on there. It's gonna take mostly a sanding, I think, to get it
I
down.
think so.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll keep
Now,
all that down.
before we go any further with this, I have one other thing I want to bring up. This is a personal issue, and maybe it's in the works, but I'm just gonna keep bringing this up. The town, I think, needs to figure out some way to allow at least 2 people on the historical commission to drive this thing in parades. I don't, whoever that is, doesn't make any difference. I think at least 2 people should.
Or drive it down on Saturdays too.
Well,
That's
and
staff.
that can be specified, that they only operate the town vehicle, which is the fire truck, and nothing else. We're not allowed to do anything else. And that's also gonna be one of those things, if we're doing it, we have to go to Brian, to get the key, so the town is gonna know what's going on, who has it, and what we're gonna be doing with it. So that's gonna be controlled by the town.
Isn't in your own, sorry, in your own car, let's say you need to bring in somebody for a weekend or something, can't you get hold of your insurance agency and have them for a limited time add another driver?
You don't really need to, you can run the car out.
Yeah, so that must
In
have,
this case,
But this is different, that's the town's
right, okay.
umbrella
let this
policy.
dust settle with the town, because things happen pretty rapidly there.
Yeah.
4th of July, so I have a chance to catch your breath and review.
And they have to be a rider to the insurance policy.
Well, and I expect it, and I would think that, and we're not gonna be out driving it anytime soon, but I think, if we're gonna take it out, it gets driven around every once in a while, and if we're gonna do it in parades, et cetera, it needs to be at least started.
I have a point about the lubrication issues. Is there any way in which an oil pump and feed could be fitted as an add-on issue?
I don't know about that old an engine.
Rather than having
Without being an authority on that, I have to say I don't know. I'm guessing probably not, because they're an internal part of the engine.
I don't know that they wouldn't be able to do that either.
There's something to look into, though. Ask Bob if you're talking.
Yeah, I guess I could ask Bob Gissel.
Get his opinion on it, since basing it on what
maybe ask a question on the Stoveboat website. Question to ask, but anybody wants to set up a forum, asking them a few questions. It's basically concentrating on Chevrolet vehicles and engines.
Yeah.
You want to do that? I think you've been on the site, so.
Yeah, if there's a possibility we can do it, then that would be something that should probably be done, addressed fairly soon, so that we stop any more of the wear on it.
You do still want to drive the truck periodically.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
think so. Because you got the tire issue that you don't.
That hoses you everything.
Yeah, and some people think, well, you can start them, say like over in wherever, and leave them run for 15, 20 minutes, say in the wintertime, and they'll get that up, and all that does is cause condensation in the exhaust system. You end up eating your exhaust system out. So in the long run, that costs you money.
You gotta get it warm.
Yep.
Okey-doke. All the concerns are noted. Backing up a little bit to the Amtram, I forgot, I handed out this schedule there the other day, and so I thought I'd highlight some things that are coming up. If you want to go, the Westminster should be pretty interesting, because they've had a building they've restored anyway. I can't remember if it was a school building or.
School.
I think it was, yeah. And in October, you see that, oh, by the way, the one in Westminster on the 21st is gonna be one of their workshop sessions, and they're gonna have a genealogist leading the deal there. So, they're usually every other month, so that was, you can see just next month.
Where are they located?
It's in the old part of Westminster, like around 72nd and Federal, and there's someplace along the railroad tracks. then October's gonna be Leaning Street,
Oh,
which is close to us, and,
that's what,
you know, they've got all the artwork there, all the Western art and the sculpture garden. So the December one is gonna be at the fort, the Fort Lupton Fort. Yeah. And then-
What's the contract?
I'm not sure. No one asked. And then next year, you can see next year Gold Hill and Louisville are both on the list. Gold Hill people just started going last few meetings, and so it's been an adventure to get all the senior citizens connected with ANFRAM up to Gold Hill. Okay, so then.
And then, can I add, there's a yoo-hoo with September 19th next year, because the Little Methodist Church on Jefferson Avenue is having their 100th anniversary, or it must be 100 and something, more than 100. And so I think they've persuaded the powers that be in the town to tie that in. I think they're gonna have like a Blue Ferret cater lunch.
Oh, you mean the Louisville one?
Yeah, and just have it
Okay.
a real Louisville time, so that'll be
So they have
special.
master plan that's
I
connected
think
with some
so.
other stuff. then.
Yeah,
Great,
so.
thanks. Brian, Grassel Park update?
Yeah, I mean, just pretty much what I mentioned earlier. I know it went pretty well. I wasn't there on site that day. Wally, were you there? Did you happen to be there that day on the 28th of July?
We drove by.
Or you guys drove by?
Well, we
Okay.
drove by, we didn't stop.
Okay.
Paul stopped off, and I stopped off later after they were.
Yeah.
I was there within a couple hours.
Oh, maybe, okay. It was, okay.
It's other
Yeah.
W.
Yeah. Yeah, the other, but yeah, I mean, it was 5 hours of labor, cleaned it out.
Booth
It was,
stuff.
kind of like what was done in the house, I guess, last fall. This might have been a little bit more intensive, but,
Yeah. And I mentioned at ANFRAM on Monday that we have a display case available. No one took this up on the offer, so we might have to look at removing the display case.
Or you might email it on the ANFRAM site too.
Yeah, right,
because
that
not
was,
everybody's.
not everybody was there, so see what the process is on that. Is it maintenance, Brian?
Let me go back. The funniest part was, there was a young lady there having picture taken. I don't know if they were pre-wedding pictures or model or whatever. They wanted to go by the barn. And I said, I think you better stay away from the barn. So they used just the house. And the other thing, the wind was blowing this way. All that crap coming out of there started to blow toward Heather's office and at the Chamber of Commerce in the back of that little building over there. So they had to quick shut the door now. The dust coming out of there was amazing.
Yeah, there was a lot of dust.
Looks good. Okay, now moves in, Brian.
yeah, so we signed the proposal to proceed with green sage painting. I know Larry called a couple of the references, and Larry, you said they were highly spoken of, right?
Yeah, positive
Yeah.
recommendations from
Yeah.
other customers.
What is it, name what?
Green
Sage.
sage painting. So they're scheduled to paint the museum the week of September 21st.
How does that tie
Well, nothing's.
No, right now it's
Yeah.
okay.
in? Okay.
We'll have them work around it if there's any conflict. You know, nothing's like concrete. That's just kind of where.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah. Larry, I know you said there is some of that leftover paint in the basement. I'm not sure I think he wants me to take a picture of those cans or get him the specs on that. So maybe we'll actually go and I want to make sure I give him the right information. You know, for the trim and the,
Yeah.
you know.
I thought maybe you'd want to actually look at it.
Well, yeah, I thought so
don't think
too.
it's usable, but it could be.
Yeah.
But
But, yeah, but then that week at least,
yeah.
whether it's yourself or anyone else that wants to, at least that first day, just so we know for sure exactly, confirm again, you know, the work he's doing. But that's $2,550 or $2,550 out of that CIP line. So after that, you know, then there'll be about, you know, 4,000 roughly. left over this year for large-scale improvements to the museum and Grasso Park, so now might be a good time to start thinking about, I know Grasso has been discussed as some additional improvements there this year, but there is that money there for this year, so.
Between now and December.
Between now and the end of December, yeah, so, you know, there was that information from Waddle and Daub last year. You know, they did some of that work, but they also made recommendations for, you know, kind of reinforcing the bottom of the Hague House.
Flashing.
The flashing, yeah, those batten boards, kind of making them uniform, putting like a horizontal board across the, you know, around the perimeter of the building, so that's, but.
I think we ought to proceed with that. One little thing on the museum is that, when that screen door got, I don't know, blown up and broken in the process, so I think we need to get a replacement for it, since
Yeah.
we busted up and go over to Resource 2000 and see if we can find another one like that. I don't know, this guy, Green Sage would be willing to install it. I guess if we could have town install it, we could paint it one or the other.
Yeah.
Do that for September 21st, I guess, huh?
Okay.
I need to take some over to Resource, so I'll go over there and nose it down one of these days. Okay, so we just.
Do you have a price on the bottom of the?
I can get, yeah, I'll
Yeah.
be in touch with those
Get a
guys and then
price
by
for
next
it,
meeting,
so
yeah,
we know.
because, you know, the weather and,
Yeah.
you know, hopefully October.
I'm trying to remember if that was in that video you did last year.
Um, Yeah, I'll have to check my notes. I'm not sure if there's that detail, you know.
Yeah. I think we're all consensus, let Brian go ahead and pursue this with Waddle and Daub and
Okay.
come up more specific plan on skirting that building.
Okay.
Absolutely. Well, also, we have the money too. Okay, number 8, Brian, on
Yeah, that project's still scheduled for the 19th, so.
What day of the week is that, Brad?
It's a Saturday. Yeah. Yeah.
Same issue with the field trip, but it's Saturday, we're okay. And they're gonna do mine cars and.
Yeah, I think, yeah, mine cars and, the false bottoms, yeah, you know, linseed oil on the outhouse structure and
Linseed oil and everything.
everything.
Bob's gonna,
Everything.
Bob's gonna give them instructions.
Yeah.
Get over here, Bob, and
Yeah.
get those guys on the stick.
What time of the day will that start?
Good question. I'd imagine 9 a.m.-ish. I don't know. I'll check on, actually, I guess will we meet before that? The next, yeah, we'll meet right the day before that, I guess. So,
I'll
think
call
we
you.
need to-
I'll call you.
yeah.
You can have some volunteers come over and take the slag out of it before they work on it, I think, or?
Yeah, we'll have all that coordinated. Probably our parks guys will do that.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Some of that stuff pretty heavy.
yeah, yeah.
You've seen that song 16
Uh,
times.
I can't even sing, but well.
Number 9, Carol Dean has been in touch with me on that, and she confirmed it yesterday, and that is that they're about one signature away in Boulder County to approving the archaeology dig project over at the mine site.
Wow.
So, you know, it's taken a long time, as she says, Carol says, as a county bureaucrat, it's a bureaucracy, you know, and it's just, got to get so many signatures from so many different departments in the county, but it looks like, and they had to have some special intergovernmental deal because DU is an institution, and so, at any rate, looks like it could happen maybe next month. Yeah. But no idea where the young ladies are in their programs, if they have the time to do that for winter or not, we'll find out, I guess.
I'm glad we pursued going down this avenue as opposed to just going over there and start digging.
Oh, yeah.
That's what the general, or what the certain consensus was when we started this. I think we'd have been in
good shape now. We are, and so it's balls in their court, so, yeah. And just a reminder, their orientation, the students' orientation is more toward social issues than industrial, mechanical, or something like that. They want to something else, try to find something connected with women's issues. We're trying to know how they're going to do that by rummaging around the mine site. I guess we'll find out. Number 10 is something I brought up with Alan. And, oh, by the way, Alan and Stan are gone with their son Corey off to Eugene, Oregon, where he's going to start grad school. So, and then Stan and Alan are taking they drove, and so we're going to take a casual drive back too. So that's why she's not here today. Had a conversation with Katie, getting her oriented to the museum and so forth, and something we've heard many times about, didn't realize this little white building is a museum. And so remember, Alan had designed a very attractive sign that if it's constructed and installed, to be either in the parking on Marshall Road or next to the fence on Maple Street, one or the other, which would be a full-size vertical sign indicating that the white building is a museum. So I asked her to go back and dust off her drawings, and I asked Brian if it's possible to get a bookmark, what we call it, in the budget next year for, or hopefully next year for ASAP at least, for financing the sign. Did you look into that? Have a chance to look at that?
Yeah, I mean, as far as, what about something this year? I mean, if you're looking at the preservation account money, I don't know how fast or whether this would be approved or not, but it's always an option. I don't know. I mean, but.
Is it possible to have I'm just like picturing one of those really cool old wood signs that, can you put that on the building? You guys opposed to, there's just like, every time I drive by it now, I don't really picture a sign like on the road. I picture it on the building. Like one of the cool ones that's like carved out, have you thought of that? Or do you want like it in the?
I don't know if we can put anything on the building due to the restrictions from the state historical department.
Yeah?
Yeah, well, because, anything we do to that building has to usually has to conform with the restrictions.
Okay.
But that's a possibility.
Pillars right with a sign right next to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's what we have to explore, if we can get it financed, where it would be located. I thought over by the street so people can see it, but it's open to discussion, it's not decided, that's for sure. Yeah, so it was on or next to the house itself. What's the problem with that? I mean, I think that'd be
Something to talk about.
positive, because people have actually, as soon as they see the sign, I think people are so focused on driving out of that rat maze down there, after they've been to Costco or Target.
Yeah.
They're all looking around like this.
But I think I'm sure everyone sees that building and thinks, oh, what a neat building. But there's not very many visitors to the museum because people don't know that there's the museum. So maybe when we get a sign, the problem will be that people will say, well, you guys are only open one time a month, That'd be a good problem to have, that lots of people. So yeah, I actually was gonna bring that up, this meeting, is how important I think a sign is for the museum, so.
Got the little brown sign, of course, but, obviously, and we put out our signs on the day of the open, but people have something else going on that day, so what do you decide, Brian? We can do a request for next year, or?
Yeah, I guess it depends. I mean, it depends exactly how much, what exactly. I think we need more information or more details on it.
Seems like Alan talked about $5,000 or $7,000 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a little late right now, knowing that which is being reviewed, you know, later this afternoon. But, you know, maybe some of these other options could be explored.
We brought this up when Sandy Pennington was on, our board lady was on, and she kept emphasizing, why don't we go through the Chamber of Commerce and try to get, say, liquor markets, Superior Liquors to adopt this or something like that, and have them, you know, get the props for helping with or financing this sign. But we'll proceed anyway.
Well, actually, sorry, let me just add, looking at, there is, you know, as far as that capital improvement for historical, the museum in Grasso Park, you know, there's a 7 this year, well, there's 5,000 for next year. You know, so this could be something that falls, you know, it'd be a historical museum improvement, you know, so.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad you thought of that. 'Cause, yeah, our budgetary deal is, this year we have $7,000.
Yeah.
Next year we have $5,000 for our maintenance on Grasso and Estes Park. Maybe we do a matching thing where hypothetically the local businesses will put $2,500, we put match $2,500 or something like that. Okay, well, I think that's some options up here.
Well, you know, I wonder if, I know you guys have lots of photos. It would be neat to see, like, what what types of signs were on the post office or on the, like, what that looked like. Because, like I said, there's so many cool companies that are doing those signs that it really, I mean, of course it would say museum, so it's not, but that makes it look like it fits, you know, with it. That it's not this, like, big, bright new sign, that it looks old.
Well, next month when Alan's back, I think that request to her, she'll come in with an update on her proposed. She had a very nice design sign, and which was based on museum signs all around the country. That, typical of institutions like that. Yeah, I know we could also look into whether it could be attached, directly attached to this building. Might have to get a hold of Stella. Go back and review that. Right.
Well, I don't know whether if this is an appropriate place or not, but what about the restoration, I guess, of the placards, you know, some of them
Oh, yeah,
they're disintegrating.
interpretive signs.
Oh, yeah, throughout, in Estes Park?
Yeah.
All of them are.
Yeah, one, yeah, I know now, you know, some of them that have, you know, either faded or, you know, that faceplate has fallen off. We're just replacing them, you know.
They were
So
supposed
we've
to last
replaced
a lot
them, yeah.
longer than they have.
Well, yeah, that's not, I mean, considering that was probably what, only 5 years ago that those were installed?
Some of them are,
You know?
That's the park probably 5 years.
So, yeah, now they're just getting replaced.
One car went by your office.
Yeah.
They get replaced.
Yeah, we're just, yeah.
Not coming out of our budget.
No, they're not.
Oh.
No, they're not.
That's cool. Should we can you put the pics up?
Yeah.
We talked last month about the issue with the cemetery, so I went over, took some photos, Karen and Wally took some photos. Walt and I, then Dan Roberts, Jill's husband, took some photos. And so we went, Walt and I dropped in on Matt Magley a few days ago, Tuesday. And so Dan had his fancy camera, so he got some really good shots. It's pretty dramatic. And so the result, I sent out that email. Did all of you hear get a read the email from Matt Magley? Okay.
Larry, I think if you sit here, you can just, I don't know the pictures you have here, so you can just scroll through.
Scroll through.
Or, yeah, however,
You want to do it, or you want me to do it for you?
So Matt, so this is one we started with, because it shows that this corner up here is the one that. I think
There's
is what's
pointers around if you want.
Pardon me?
I think there's pointers if you
Oh,
want,
okay.
laser pointers.
Anyway, we had a conversation with Matt, and you might have read in that email that he's told us he'd go back, he'd go over, his schedule go over either Wednesday or Friday, so he's able to go over Wednesday and take a look at it himself. Okay, well, and that's just a closer view.
Well, it looks like that's about ready to wash out that fence right there on the corner.
Yeah, I think that was an effective photograph, because the shadow really helped.
Yeah, I think when Matt saw the pictures, he began to get a little more worried about it.
Here, Larry, just push the button.
Because he did not want any bones coming down the hill.
Yes.
He said, that would not be good, and I don't wanna deal with it. And neither do we.
Yeah, and this part right here, I think was shown on the next slide. Go ahead, Walt. Oh, guess not. Well, anyway, we keep focusing in on this, and then also keep your eye peeled on this. For those of you, I know not everyone's been there, so that's why.
That's very steep.
Very steep, yeah, go ahead, Walt. Hit it again. Oh, I know what this is. This is all of Dan's pictures. I edited down just a few, so that's why it's getting so much repetition. Go ahead. There we go. Okay, now this is also showing up.
That really shows.
It looks like it's starting to wash out right in here on this other side too.
Go
Mhm.
ahead, Walt. Here's this, where the bulldozer stopped. I'm glad he stopped there. You see how close that is. And this also is pretty dramatic on the.
Oh, wow.
So this one here, we included that in our show, because apparently he must have gone over and talked to the construction manager, and you read what he said.
Yeah, see, when you look at that corner up there, right in there, that, yes, there's a shadow in there, but I think that's even more pronounced than it was the last time we were up there.
Yeah, I think it is.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, now, look at it there, yeah.
And then I kept pointing out, I think that's about a foot and a half, 2 feet wide from there
Yeah.
to there, so.
That's not acceptable.
So how they gonna restore it?
Whatever it says there is all I know, Bob. This is a couple of,
You didn't say that.
I think we have included this one too, to show the dramatic drop off or something.
Now this, what looks like a road down here is the beginning of the bicycle path.
You think so?
Yeah, I think
Oh,
so.
is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Are you on the 36 side?
Right? Is
No,
that-
it's still on the.
Oh, it's still on the other side, oh, okay.
Yeah, because the bicycle path's on the other side.
I think that's an access either for construction or for the ditch
Yeah.
company to get,
Get
get
to
over
it.
here to some
Right.
ditch stuff over there
Right.
too.
This
Yeah,
is-
we need to discuss that road a little bit, summers, when we're still on this.
Well, Matt's working on that.
Well, what I'm getting at is, they're gonna have to have that road in there for the ditch, obviously.
Yeah.
So when that comes back down around off here to the right, somehow that contractor needs to get us,
Yes.
some form of an access to actually drive a vehicle up around and come into the main
We
entrance of the.
We talked to Matt about that, and he also talked to the developer about that.
Oh, okay, because we need to have what,
It's in the works, yeah.
yeah, roughly a five
We told
car.
him we needed probably 3, maybe 4 parking spots at the most.
Okay, that's fine.
I thought this was pretty.
Yeah.
Pretty dramatic, too. You're seeing a lot of the washout here.
Mhm.
Who does the weeding in the cemetery?
Oh,
Go ahead, Walt.
don't know who maintains it.
What'd you say?
I don't know who maintains
Town
it.
maintains it, but it's not out something, cutting it down doesn't happen very often. Because
Well, now I don't think they're worried about it because of construction all going on. So
Right. Yeah, it seems like the weeds are higher than I've ever seen them. You can't even
Yeah.
see that
I think
it's,
so, that all.
but I understand it's, people can't get to it anyways, but.
Okay, is this the 36 side now?
Not quite. Let's just go ahead and keep moving down. See where the-
Yeah, it's still on the same ice side, I think.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now we're at the other, no.
No.
Okay, now we're on the US 36 side.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this dirt, this is the dirt you see that is the beginning of the bicycle path.
Go ahead.
Right at-
So this is in CDOT's right of way, or?
Evidently.
I don't think this is.
That's too high, I think.
No, there's another path out there, you're
Yeah.
right. This, to the left, there's another path.
Oh, yeah,
This
that
is
drop
the thing
off.
we wanted
Yeah.
to point out to Matt, is
Right.
this is on the US 36 side.
And
That's the
if you look out towards 30, further towards 36, you see a brown spot there where there's nothing. That's the bicycle path.
And that's all CDOT.
Let's go next. Yeah. So this is pretty serious holes there.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
a big
There's
hole.
the turnpike, there's 36 back there.
Yeah.
So we pointed that out to Matt, I think that was shocking too.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we've seen how, keep going along.
I think you started around again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I took in, what we take in, well, maybe 8 pictures or something like that, so the whole works.
I'm gonna put that back.
Thank you. So the result of that is, I'll just, Dan did, yeah, so what he says is, we were able to agree to do some work that I think will provide additional stability on the site.
Could we have one?
Developer will have the contractor on the site Friday, to work on the hill that is sloughed on the north side of the
No, that's
cemetery
yours, but I'm
near the
not.
detention pond. In addition, the contractor for the detention pond will begin constructing the remaining walls by mid to late September. Once the pond walls are complete, they will backfill the area which will add stability. The area near the southwest corner of the cemetery fence, we propose that a small wall be built at the edge of the maintenance road for a certain distance that will allow the slope to be reduced, and I think add stability to the hillside. So that was, Walt and I were very pleased with Matt's
Yeah.
response and the promptness of the response on that.
Yeah, 'cause that's gonna start now next month, so that means it's not gonna go on, just keep dragging on to where it washes that corner.
And this also takes away the need to, make some kind of public statement or anything like that.
Right.
Right.
It's in, that's aware of it, he's acting on it, so. Yeah.
And as the process is, we can give him more information if we see some other issues, so.
So I'm wondering if somebody should go up there in that cemetery, and I guess if somebody wants to, I'd be more than happy to go with them and walk that and see if we have prairie dog issues back in there again.
It didn't look like it the last time I was up there. I did not see any prairie dogs.
Now, you were in that and walked, okay.
When was that?
A month ago.
Oh,
okay.
Oh, that's
before
good.
I was looking, one Sunday I walked in there to look at the roads and stuff.
No, go
And
ahead.
that could
That's
have
what
changed
I
in
was
a
saying.
month too.
Yeah, but it's
There's
been
a-
quite a while since we were in there.
Yeah.
That's good.
There's a type of soil retention device called gabion, which is like a load of cobbles in a wire basket.
Oh, yeah.
I think I'm not sure if they're actually cheaper than building a wall. They look a little bit more natural. Obviously, within time, the steel basket will corrode away, but I think maybe for about 30 years, they are pretty stable. I just wondered about cost and whether it might be worth looking into buying maybe expensive these gabions, building a wall out of them, rather than have a bricklayer or somebody.
I would suggest that to Nat, because he'll be contacting construction company, otherwise the construction company's probably got a plan for the wall.
It's basically like cubes, done in cubes, so long, but so you
With the stones inside the
with
wall.
large cobblestone outside, live ones.
He talked about some of those things, and I think we have to let him, at this point, do his thing, and then if we have further problems or difficulties, then he's open to talking to us about it. But I think we need to let the process go now, and let Matt take care of that, as he's agreed to do. And then if we see some other issues, really not gonna go back and talk to him about it.
Maybe have more reinforcement.
I would, yeah, I think we talked about a couple months. If time they get that nuts around back there, we would get that first ice rink open.
Well, why don't we move on?
But before you do, Larry, this is backing on to what Katie said. The weeds, the main prominent one there is the common mullein, which you probably are all familiar with. David and I are volunteers with Lucille Open Space to dig that out and try to get it as under control as possible. And the seeds on those, one of those stalks probably has 500,000 seeds, and they're good for up to 75 to 100 years. I mean, it's a terrifically nuisance
That's what
plant.
turns a little brown at the top?
With the little seeds after that lovely yellow flower spike.
What
So,
is it called?
common mullein, mullein. And,
They're all over.
they're all
Oh,
over.
yeah.
And you just, I mean, they're a list C or something in Colorado. But we need to, I mean, I'm happy to go out. I'm wondering if it would do any good to snip the tops of those even now and eliminate a few million of the seeds. And then, literally, and then in the spring when it's soft, go in and dig up the baby plants, because they're a biennial. And after a
They grow
nice
the
rain.
first year and they flower the second year and set seed and then they die.
The Meadowlark Trail, if you go up on the top of that, it looks like we have a forest. It's those things, they're so big this year because of all the rain too.
Yeah.
Well, I don't
And
think
their
that sounds like a
roots
bad
put
idea,
out,
'cause
their roots put out a chemical that discourages other plants, so they really take over.
Oh.
So,
I think the issue going there is that the contractors do not want anybody over there.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's true too. Unless
so
they link in
what
on the
about weekend? Yeah,
What if we're in-
going on a weekend, when the machines aren't
After
going.
hours.
Yeah, after hours on the weekend.
We still
But
need their
be careful-
permission.
but be careful, because they're very, Matt told us the other day, they're very strict about, he wanted to know how we got these pictures. He was very concerned about that, because they are on top of that, and they're not real happy to have anybody over there without somebody from the contractor.
But surely we can work in the cemetery.
Well, I think we can go around the other side by the, and come in over that, not by the hospital, but back on that end, and come in on that path and get into the main gate and come into the cemetery. I think
They have no jurisdiction in the
Yeah, that's
cemetery.
what I was gonna say, I don't think they have.
Well, I think you gotta work through Matt, get permission through Matt and the construction companies. I don't think we can be wandering around here without.
But I think once that's all built,
Yeah.
it'll be so much more accessible, and I think it's gonna be really important to keep it nice and clean, because lots of people will see it.
Yeah, and I think by the time they do this retro erosion work, that you'll see a lot of that is gone. But there's still gonna be lots of it around yet.
Right.
But as they get closer and closer, those plants will just be gone.
I don't know how.
I was thinking of within the cemetery itself.
Yeah.
They won't be gone. They'll be
In
more
the
next year.
cemetery,
Yeah,
yeah, right.
they won't
So
go.
if you You can have the experience. If you wanna get the assault team,
Okay.
go after those items. So I don't know how many people would be willing to put in a shirt, afternoon's work on that or something.
In the morning if it's hot.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's pretty nasty.
You mean that the construction people have control over the cemetery up there?
Access to it.
Access.
It's just the access.
Yeah.
Just the access, right?
Right,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
access, right.
So you can go, like Wally said, you go around and come in
Yes, they're not happy with that.
well,
Because it's a liability issue to them.
well, if you, yeah, I can understand if you're on a construction site, yes.
Every day is a liability to them. If you just walk through there on Sunday and fall down and break your leg, that's a
Well,
problem.
yeah, I can see that on construction, but if you're.
They got that footbridge that's over there on the hospital side.
Is that officially open?
No,
Yeah.
No.
No, it's
No,
not.
it isn't.
Oh, okay.
It says the bike trail.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying.
yeah, no, it's not open, they're still
So
doing.
actually, there's
see,
no way we can
Yeah,
get to it without. going
36 construction still going on, you can't really go through that either.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
well, would it be better, even though it'll be more work with more plants next year to get the team together next spring?
Maybe so.
Yeah.
And by then they'll have done that much more around the cemetery.
Let's
and-
hope, my gosh.
Yeah. What, does that,
Well, I think they'll have a lot done just to get the ice rink open. And
Yeah, 'cause that has to be open this fall yet,
that's the goal.
doesn't it? Yeah, that's what I thought, that's
So
coming
one,
real quick.
one ice rink is supposed to be open in
Yeah,
October.
and then you still have, but you also have the medical building and, that haven't even started yet.
I was talking with Patrick here a couple weeks ago, and he said that rink probably won't be open until next March, because they don't have water over there, right? Am I right?
Yeah, no, I'm not
And-
privy on
and
that,
they-
really.
They can't put flammable material in that rink until they get water there for
Right.
fire mitigation.
They're supposed to start that next week, or in May.
What,
Start
water
putting
water
in the wa-
line?
Put in the water lines,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Well, I think our next item's gonna take a lot of time to discuss too, so let me move on to number 12, which is the second grade field trips. And we have our team put together for September 11th.
And that's the Superior Elementary.
Superior Elementary. What, are you guys in on the 11th?
Pardon?
Are you guys in on the 11th?
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna add Wally, and I haven't updated my list here, Karen. So we'll have more veterans to go with our rookies. So, so I think, you know, I think I sent out an email where we had Jill and Mary at Grasso Park, but now that Wally's back in the picture, we can Jill, Mary, and Wally at Grasso, and Karen's back in the picture, so that was Karen, Bob, Alan at the museum, and Clint Folsom in the boardroom, and then Jill and, I'm sorry, Vicki and Katie can probably each go one different place and kind of learn about that spot, so.
What are the hours of that?
Hasn't been set yet, they usually, it's usually about 9:30 or 10 till 11 or 12, so it depends on when they can get.
Official.
Yeah.
Kind of depends on the buses.
Depends on the bus.
Sorry, so what'd you
Yeah.
say, 9:30 to, I got distracted
Could be,
by
it could be 9:30 to 10, and then last till 11:30 or 12.
They usually, yeah, if it's
They
nice
come-
weather, they try to get a picnic outside afterwards. Or else have to get back to
Yeah, they have
school.
a picnic in Founder's Park, so.
Ideally, yeah, they have, bring their lunches to go to Founder's Park.
I have a question. Can we possibly get some plywood or something put in those bunks? Because the kids want to stand on those. And and I keep telling them you can't, because they're, with the spring slats in there, if somebody goes down between it, they're gonna get hurt. But, trying to keep track of all those kids, sometimes it's a little hard, the parents, don't seem to respond to anything. So I was wondering if we, because they're gonna stand on them. And it's, you know, I tell them they can lay on them or sit on them, but you can't stand on them. Irregardless, there's somebody standing on them. And I'm afraid somebody's gonna get skinned up pretty bad if they slip down between them. So I don't know what.
When you say those bunks, what do you mean specifically? Do you mean?
Jail cell.
In
Oh,
the
in the
jail
jail,
cell,
oh, in the jail
yeah.
cell, yeah, okay.
Two of them, and
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty,
That's what we gotta do.
And is there any way, and I don't know, do we have any idea of who possibly, is there any records on who might have spent time in that jail, cell?
I did.
Okay. Would you like to be over there and tell them how comfortable? The reason I'm getting at that is because unless somebody else wants to handle that this year, I try and do a little bit of an orientation on that. And, you know, you don't have any, I keep saying, well, there wasn't anybody, you know, famous or notorious was in here. It was mostly just minors who were on the wrong side of the, and if that's all it is.
This is
then-
famous right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, do we have any records, any idea who might have been in there at one time?
There's nothing I've run across.
Well, yeah, that's what I was just wondering.
Is it in newspaper, old newspaper? Where would it have been, where would you, yeah, have
Oh, I
found
no
it?
idea.
Did you, was there a newspaper?
What's that?
Oh, the camera was around.
Yeah, but that wouldn't be too Superior local.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Would the town marshal kept any records?
Should be an interesting
at
Project.
this point, we don't have virtually no historical records in town.
Okay.
None. Like you say no, none at all.
There's none in the library.
Yeah, there might be some at Carnegie. My research hasn't, what I've done there hasn't produced
We've
any.
been in Carnegie several times.
I found some history guys that know what.
Say what?
I don't know if Danny would know anything about that. I mean, not that he was in it, but I mean,
He
it's
may have been in it too, you know.
Yes.
Well, he could have.
Well, when did it stop getting used?
Yeah, I don't know.
What's that?
When did it
I
start?
don't know, maybe Denzel knows something.
City of Leeds, two stars.
I don't know when they.
I know in the new,
I grew up
I was in the new.
Yeah.
I was wondering how long have you people?
I can't see it.
I thought that was in the building over here, that white one where maintenance is in there. Because George Kupner said that he would in the wintertime go in there, they had this apparatus sitting out here was in there in the wintertime, and he would go in there and keep the fire stoked so that wouldn't freeze up so they could use it.
Well, I think that it was in, well, I know it was in the old wooden frame building.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was ever.
I don't know whether it's in the new one or not, I don't know.
This year I plan on having a whistle. You know, try and keep those kids under control because they get to running around over there and it tends to get, now with, this is Kate, who's the gal from, Katie
Graff.
She keeps her kids under control. But the other two, they don't. The parents are busy talking and.
Well, we'll have 3 teachers classes probably. We have 85,
Yeah.
I think it's 81 students, probably 3 classes
From Superior?
from Superior, and 85 Eldorado.
So you could hear a whistle going once in a while, because I'm planning on having one.
We have to be real careful at the time, so when we get this fine-tuned, it's got to just be 15 minutes.
Yep.
And so we keep expanding what they see. We have run into problems because, you know, we talked about the threshing machine, we went to the jail cell, we went to the house, we went to the barn this year probably, and so, you know, I don't know if it's gonna be, it goes pretty quick. And then over at the museum, you got the inside and the outside, so, you know, each one of these places gets subdivided down into 2 or 3 smaller groups, and then they have to rotate some more. Then,
Yeah, keep it on schedule and stuff.
Yeah.
And we have just enough time to take them around the park and talk about a couple of things and that's it. By the way, you asked the teachers, I thought, once, if they had any suggestions about if there was anything more they wanted to hear about. Did you get any feedback?
I don't know if I ever asked the question.
Oh, where did I get
can't-
that idea?
I think I was, we talked about it.
Oh, okay.
I just don't know if I don't have any more to add.
Okay.
Don't ask the question if you can't stand the answer.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
So then is the 15th also, are there
it's-
2 dates, or?
There'll be
There were a
three,
lot of,
actually.
okay.
Yeah,
okay.
so.
11th,
Katie,
15th,
huh?
the 11th and the
11th
15th.
is definite, the 15th is in the works for
Okay.
El Dorado.
El Dorado.
And Kelly Esposito is working on that, and I've heard nothing from Monarch at this point, so.
Karen and I will not be available for the second.
So for September 15th, I've done Larry and Mary so far. Who else is available for the 15th of September?
Well, I'll try and be, I'll have to check.
I'll be check. Go.
Will you be available?
I suppose so.
Okay, well, it's just
Put a
two.
question mark.
Better make yourself, you get.
So we gotta talk to Jill and Alan. Hopefully it's,
The key is quick
yeah, gonna keep it moving smartly.
and don't make it too extensive.
Yeah.
And they also do something here, like political, they meet with.
Yeah.
I just wonder if eventually, sorry, I'm new, so I'm gonna ask the question. Why are the two together when they don't really, why are we doing historical and like, couldn't they come another time to do the whole city, you know?
The problem is the bus issue.
Yeah.
And what, it costs a lot of money, for buses.
Yeah, yeah.
So the plan is to incorporate it
To
all
do the full
together.
day of,
It gets very tight in time
We
though.
all come
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's worth considering though.
Yeah.
I mean, if they want to, it's just, I mean, it seems like the local schools, it would be neat if they had a day of
Okay.
touring
Then it should-
city offices, meeting with the mayor, you know, that doesn't really, and then to rush through, I mean, couldn't they also have a,
Joe can talk
You
more
know,
than I
but
can about
anyways.
what goes on here, but they talk about government. and
Yeah.
city
Yeah,
responsibility
it's totally different. We talk about.
which is great, it's
How
just,
how the town operates, what the trustees and the mayor do,
Right.
and then we give the kids a chance to sit up in the podium and do a little mock meeting kind of thing.
Right.
And it's very, very tight in time, very tight. And then walk through the town hall,
Mhm.
see the people.
I think it's
And-
because they're studying history
Yeah, yeah.
at that particular time is why.
It's local
Yeah,
history.
I
and-
think that's why all this, but
Yeah.
I agree, maybe that's some way that needs to be separated.
if they want, I mean, right,
Yeah.
it's their, it has to be their league.
Kind of joint, do the teachers want that
Oh,
separate? And-
absolutely.
And I'm sure that the town could work out a separate time. Mm,
Whether they spend the money on the school buses to get
Yeah, it used to be back in the olden days when I was teaching, you know, you got a field trip and charge the school somehow, but I guess now they charge the specific grade or class or teacher.
Yeah, that's right.
So I don't
Against their
understand how they
budget,
do
so
things.
Maybe
it
the
really
city can help
discourages-
the bus.
Well,
Really discourages
That's-
field trips.
I don't think the city can help us.
Well,
It's all school stuff.
I can tell you what the issue is. In about 1991, there was a big uproar in the school district that schools wanted control of the budgets, and they didn't want the ed center to have control of the budgets. And so every principal became the controller of the budget for that school. And they had a mess because they didn't know what they were doing. And eventually, it became a mishmash of some things, and now it's getting more and more that schools have control of the budget, so they have to be careful how they use their budget, and they become responsible for their budget. And that's how we got to this point where the school gets charged for the cost of the buses and
I understand, I think the second grade gets charged for this nowadays.
Well, I think that's right.
Right on down the line, so.
And the school bus, they have a fee on top of just running the school bus for management, which came into effect at that time too.
Joe, would you?
I happen to know that because I was working
Yeah, you were.
in the school district.
But you're saying then that each class has a budget then?
Yes.
First
That's
grade
correct.
has a budget, second grade has a budget.
Yeah.
No kidding.
The school gets a certain amount of money from, based on how many students they have from the Ed Center. And then they divide that up in the school among the grades.
Larry, this baby has been kind of Chris Hansen's particular thing, so rather you asked him the question of whether he wanted to break that out or try to break it out separately.
Because of time constraints there at the museum, we have to split them up.
Oh, yeah, I know.
You have them, all together, but up there, we split that group, a group into half again, so that.
I'm well aware.
So
But
yeah.
this year,
I think I don't know how you feel, Bob, but I have always felt like we had enough time to go around the park. You got another, the flip side of this is their attention span is
Yes.
not real long. So you don't want it to get to be too long.
That's right.
Well,
Right
and
right there.
We have sufficient time in Ashley Park to go around and talk about it.
We're real tight in Grassland Park.
what's funny is how they go. So if you start with the first group, you've got plenty of time. By the time the third group gets to you, because of the whiplash and driving, you're out of time by the, because things drag on.
Got the travel time between the sites too.
Yeah, that's, so,
They used to go real fast, but then they're coming over.
I mean, there's been, last couple of years, by the time the third group kids have gotten to us, we
But right then they got.
didn't have time to do
museum up there,
anything
too.
with it.
Well, I think we're gonna have to live with what we have this year, because obviously it's too late, but this might be something to address and see if we can, if we need to make changes next year.
Okay, so let's see.
So what's the third part? Do we have any possible dates for the third?
Well, I threw those out. And
Nothing additional?
I can't remember what the other ones I suggested were, so. But it was following week after the 15th. Let's see. No, I think it was the last week in September, because we have our meeting on third Friday of the month, so be careful with that.
Our meeting is the 18th, so you're talking the next week possibly.
Yeah.
There's a possibility we would be back if you go later.
And I think that's what I said.
21st, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, it's in the 20s for the third choice. So, well, okay, I guess I'll get hold of Jill and Alan, see if we can get some more people. Of course.
I should be able to help
Oh,
some,
okay.
it's just
Yeah, by that, you'll have
your work.
your orientation.
Yeah, by the second time, Katie and Vicki will be oriented.
Yeah, we can do it ourselves.
Yeah.
And by the way, Vicky's not here because she went out to California. to see her
Oh.
grandchild.
Oh,
excuses,
yeah.
excuses.
Okay, well, we'll stay in touch on, by email on this. I leave on the Wednesday before that, so it was at the 10th, so, or 9th, so. Okay, Karen, correspondence.
Okay, there were 2 thank you notes sent out this month. One to Jim Listoka for his picture on the Monarch Mine disaster, and then to Catherine Renfro for her pictures of the depot and also newspaper articles. So those 2 went out. Do we need any new thank you notes sent out?
I can't think of anybody else.
Okay.
I will hand out those.
All right.
In old business, we had an issue brought up last month about bylaws, so what Brian had said, we just hand out to everyone the current bylaws, resolutions, what have you, that we're operating under, so if you have any
Sorry, I'll just
questions, refer to that. Any other old
Okay,
business?
thank you, Brian.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're welcome.
You guys read them over and propose what you'd like to see changed, and I'll bring it up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the first handout is back in April 2012, when you guys revised the, what's that?
Go ahead.
Back in April 2012, it's the resolution reestablishing the Historical Commission. In there, it refers, there's a couple areas as far as members being elected where it refers to the Superior Municipal Code, which that's the second handout. That's from the town's website. It's the section in the code involving advisory committees, and it has more detail on there. So it's really, if anything, a good resource for you guys to hold on to, just to because you kind of tend, I tend to forget some of that myself. So
I know I've got it someplace, but I don't know.
yeah,
I found one of them, but I couldn't find it.
yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, when you found it.
Well, not this.
Thanks, Ron. Any
Yeah.
other old business?
Want to bring something up? A while back, we were talking about installing a hand pump there back in the museum or someplace. Where we at on that? That's still in the mill or not?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll, thanks for the reminder. I mean, maybe we can get that going in the fall here. I think it's just we can do that in-house with our parks guys probably, or,
Pad down.
yeah, so, yeah, it hasn't been rolled out. I think, I know I know in the past it was gonna go in that day we did the swing bench, but that didn't happen for whatever reason.
Right.
But,
If Tommy and I move the pumps we aren't going to use out of there, put it back in lean-to, so for the one that we want to use is still in there, and I mentioned to him too, so he said, obviously he's not a decision-making type person, but we might him about it, but yeah, because at first we're going to you guys are going to put a pad by for the swing, and then we're going to do I forgot now why the flagstone didn't go.
well, wasn't it just gonna be a concrete slab that the pump went into? Yeah.
The pump's gonna have to be bolted.
Yeah.
So when we went to Flagstone for
Flagstone for that kind of, at least for that time, yeah. But I think that's pretty simple to do. I think it's just kind of, still, yeah, we can,
Pad on the ground.
yeah.
And they'll have to go to the pump they're gonna use and put studs in for
Stud,
flow.
Yeah.
yeah, right
Stud.
place.
Cut off that shaft.
Yeah.
And thanks for bringing it up, obviously. We don't want to lose track of that. Jody and I, Jody, receptionist out here, went through all the covers and found 180 some lost Superiors that are here in the town office. And there's only about 20 over in or less over in the museum. So we're at this rough figures, we're at 200 lost Superior books. So what is selling here, Bob? It's like 20 or something like that? Catching off guard.
I don't know, I had to check it.
We sell a few a month, so we don't sell more.
Oh, yeah.
We don't sell more than 50 a year.
Yeah,
So
We're good.
Okay.
yeah, so we're probably in pretty good shape.
yeah.
There's no other old business, no new business, and September 5th opening. Let's see.
Let's see, Labor Day is what?
7.
Yeah, okay, that'll be Labor Day, yeah.
We're away.
I'll be around.
We're here. I know you're hoping not to be. We're here. I don't leave till the 13th.
I understand. I talk now and you have to use my lips.
Since when?
She's ventriloquist.
Okay.
I can be here also.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, then, Heritage Roundtable will be the 17th, so unless someone else wants to go, I'll probably be there.
I hate going to Boulder anymore.
So I put it on the list under new business now. The ideas, as ANFRAM is not exactly exciting, aren't exactly exciting meetings. You get the field trips and ice cream socials. People have 3 minutes to tell what's going on in their museum, and they get anybody, nobody gets very close to 3 minutes, except me, of course. And, so sometimes at 12 minutes later, we're still sitting there and someone's talking about me. So what I'm getting at is, what I do a lot of times is sit there and think about ideas. And sometimes they're spurred by other museums' ideas. And these are just some things that I don't think we need to talk about in any depth. It's just some ideas that come to my mind of things we could do as a museum. Just for example, we have a bluegrass concert on the grass out there by the museum on a Saturday or something. I think we really need to develop a website. You know, we talked about this. I talked about Rick Center from Gold Hill, and he said he made their town website. So I think if someone, anybody who wants to or has the ability or can follow the steps of the process could make a website for the Superior Station Museum.
Joe Roberts.
Hmm?
I notified Joe Roberts.
Okay,
I
that's right.
nominated Joe
All in
Roberts.
favor of Joel Roberts doing this? You don't come to the meeting, get elected, so, I think Joel probably be perfect. But Rick Center, he used, I can't remember now, it's called something Cal, was the program, and made up a very nice website for the Gold Hill Museum.
And TV wants somebody that helps you do that. That
Yeah,
might cost money, I don't know.
probably so.
Well, with all the computer people in Superior, I would suspect if you put a request in the Sentinel, you would get.
Probably get a high school kid to.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
Ed could do that if he was here.
So
Yeah.
again, if you guys just think about these brochures, we have a paper, like a trifold or a bifold, or even this is one long memo and a print on both sides, brochure about the museum. Brochures here in the hall, for example. Should we be more open more often? We come to this frequently, and I think if we have to have specific people take specific Saturdays, because otherwise we spread that thing out. We have a program like, have a ride your bike to museum day or
Yeah,
something.
that'd be cool.
Some
Have
bike,
refreshments,
work at bike museum.
yeah.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Host a quilt show or an art show. I thought of the term gallery, we talked about having a commemoration from Miss Orman. I have no idea if I spelled her name right, but maybe that room in the museum could be called the Edith Orman Gallery.
Because we wanted to
Education
name,
gallery or
we
something.
wanted to name it after her anyway,
Yeah.
so.
That might be another way to get her name on
Yeah.
something. And this is more of an internal thing I thought about when I was over there the other day trying to get, I can't remember how to do an email off a town computer in the museum. I don't know how to originate one. So I got thinking, I don't think we'll have all Superior photos on the hard drive of the museum computer. So, because we have it on the town hard drive, and we have it on, 3 discs. So, this,
But when you talk about Superior photos, now you just talked about the photos in the book.
yeah,
Boy, you got a lot of them, loosely binders.
most, if not all those are also,
I know a lot of them there, but there's a lot that aren't here.
okay, then that, maybe you could designate those and get those scanned and get those into. Yeah.
Could I suggest that we hold off on item 4, open more often, till we've done some of these others and start seeing the crowds of people coming?
Exactly, that's what I was.
Because if we.
Well, we got that cart versus the horse thing
Yep.
kind of thing. If we're open more often, we get more people. If we're open more often, we still get 1 or 2 people per, well, we got, somebody's been over town.
Just to tuck something in the back of your mind on ideas, the board is discussing, I know we're gonna discuss possibly getting some event like Superior Days reinstated.
Oh.
And if that were to happen, you guys would probably want to be part of that.
For sure, yes.
So, I know I'd like to see that happen.
Yeah, I think we all enjoyed that.
Yeah, I did too. I got to play in the softball.
Yeah, right.
But, I don't know if we're talking about that during the budget or maybe next retreat. So it wouldn't be something immediate, but it's, you know, I know you participate in the town festivals, but that one really hits home for you guys.
Yeah.
If we can get it going. So I'll keep you informed on that.
Yeah.
I know the lady too that does the Boulder walking tours, and it's really, really successful. I don't know if you guys have heard of that, but she does, they're kind of historical for Boulder and talking about new Boulder, you know, but it would be so neat, once again, once kind of everything's done, if, so that would just be an idea. I know it's not necessarily for the museum, but connecting, doing several different sites where you're walking or biking, to the different historical sites, talking about.
Okay.
So-
Yeah.
So sort of
Transferring that
stay,
idea over here to Superior.
so
Yeah.
sort of staying in the town instead of the other one where we head up to the, and show, and maybe have maps that, you know, photos. Here's the old post office. Here's what it looks like now, here's what it looked like
Yeah.
then, kind of thing.
You know, it would be an add-on to what we do in May.
Why don't you chew on these in September, maybe do that.
I like the bluegrass concert.
Yeah.
I know a guy in a bluegrass band, so I think they could, there's plenty of those around too. Doesn't even have to be bluegrass, it could be something else.
And obviously that type of, I'm very, I think it's just so important to promote. You just have to promote, so whatever it is, people aren't going to come to the museum, they're not gonna buy the books, they're not gonna give money to the commission if no one knows about all of it. So the more people, the more money, the more, you know, I mean, the more promotion. So I think that should be important. All of those things to just have people be more aware.
A lot of times, whenever you have a promotion, it'll wind up in the Daily Camera, or it used to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good possibility too.
Do you sell the Lost Superior books anywhere besides the city?
At the museum and then the.
Here.
Oh, Louisville Museum has some.
Yeah, we haven't looked at putting them on retail, because one thing we don't have, there's quite a number of them.
When they first came out, we had some out there at the Longmont Museum. They took a couple copies, sold them up there, stand and so forth.
I just say if you did have a nice brochure and you had those books and you could put them at some retailers that are real connected with the city, just a few, not like you're gonna put books everywhere all around town, but a few select retailers, people would buy them.
We're gonna have a good score.
That's a good problem, right?
Yeah. I don't think we did much on that because it just, you know, the town didn't have anybody, none of us were marketing. So I think they approached, it seemed like they approached Costco. Costco didn't go for it, so, at that time. I handed this thing out because I caught it in the Hometown Weekly of all places about the house across the street from the museum. That's this house that's in this little article here. So,
That's the new house, right?
yeah, the one the guy's been working on for a couple of years, and there's going to be this type of a house, first and third Saturdays of the month. So, just an FYI. The house is very interesting.
He's an interesting guy.
Any other new business?
I just wanted to mention that we can, you know, do printing, so Alan brought that photo in and she had it done at, you know, Kinko's or something like that. And, I'm sure I mean, we could just match the price of that and give you guys a good deal on it. So any photos that you have now that you want to print, you can, of course, use whoever you want, but we can do that for you as well. So. And we can do some digital work, so we can do the cleanup on it if things are damaged or just, you know, old, dirty, if they're old photos that need some work. So,
You
keep
might
that
want
in
to
mind.
consider doing some, one or two of the latest ones we got on the depot. Those up on the walls and stuff. Or even your old car.
I should.
No, that old car that was in there, I can't remember what that was called.
Yeah,
Oh, that one in her pictures?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an unusual, yeah, it's something like that,
I
yeah.
work 4 days a week.
Unusual.
So I have Thursdays off.
Yeah, I don't know, it seems like data sticks or something.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Great, thank you.
Well, any other new business?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
You should.
Second.
I beat you.
Oh, very, very seconded.
Ah.
Very deep.
Move the second to adjourn, I think we covered the waterfront here, so, thank you very much. Sorry for almost 2 hours again.
Next time I see Dan, I'm
See how
gonna
the
ask
weather's
him
warming outside?
if he knows.
Oh, yeah.
What'd you say?
Yeah.
Graduated now, right? Yeah.
It's
nice.
Those fall days were kind of nice a few days ago.
Because we're gonna
Felt
have,
pretty
not,
good.
But yeah, I don't work on Thursdays,
we're
so
gonna have that
it
barn open down there, it'd be nice to have a.
I've seen weather bounce around.
There's a couple
or
of
something,
them.
but,
Oh, yeah.
but it's fine.
How many do you have?
So, just,
Put
Yeah.
that shade.
It just changes quickly.
just the feeling
Sure
on
does.
that, you
It's kind
guys
of been a weird
would
summer,
prefer
though,
not
you
to
know,
have
early
the,
on.
not that we change anything this week, would you prefer not to have the government part separate? Is that a preference? Or is it just the timing question?
I think, to me, it's just a timing question.
Yeah.
Because I think it all fits, the history of government, but,
I guess that's something we could think about, see how this year goes now with this new stuff opening.
I see it as fitting together as a town of Superior Day for the school. You know?
Yeah.
But-
that would be good.
And they are, but
I would just think as like from an educational, and I know teachers are overworked but to do an election, do like the political science and the government stuff around, you know, it's just so neat that they have you guys so close to be a resource. But if it's easier for them to do the once a year, that they come down here, then,
we
you know.
covered the election process, we can run that.
Yeah.
We cover all of that. and
Yeah.
It's a lot in a short time.
Right.
And I don't think you can extend the time either.
Oh, no, they're in,
There,
they gotta be back when they have to be back.
Right.
yeah.
And I don't think second graders are that attuned
Right.
to the politics of the situation and what that means.
But no, they really do get it, we point
Yeah.
out, you know, it's at a level of, you know,
Yeah, they have a
look at
certain
those
level.
pictures of the mayors, do you
Yeah.
notice that? Oh, look, there's a woman.
You know, by the time we end, they're all very hungry for lunch.
Yes.
yeah, that's
Oh,
true,
yeah,
too.
yeah.
They've sort of almost lost it that last half hour,
Yes,
no matter
yes.
which place you're in.
Yeah.
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 It's the rotation. The last week you get has no time. It just works that way.
Sometimes the teachers come up and say, oh, we only have 5 minutes. What?
Yeah. That's because Wally's and
He's got
crouching.
him in
at
the
the
jail.
kids.
Yeah, that's right.
Who's got the whistle this
You
year?
got the whistle and,
Yeah, and they want me to lock them in there.
I know you have the highlight.
That's the highlight, yeah.
The jail and
It's like they have a
the
new
dead raccoon.
Yeah, exactly.
Highlights.
They're just talking with their
Now, we
friends,
don't have to worry
right?
about these dead raccoons
I
being
think
the
we don't
highlight
add
now.
a skunk to the mix here.
Yeah, exactly.
I may not even be in the jail.
We bring lots of good ideas. No, that's why.
That's what a new person says.